Amid the crackle of gunfire and thud of a shell hitting, journalists run from a column of flames. This footage, shot in the Ukrainian city of Irpin in early March, is becoming a common scene in a war that has so far claimed the lives of 4 journalists and left others wounded. Media groups and international bodies are stressing safety and reminding all sides that journalists are civilians, not military targets. Warnings increased after Fox News journalists Pierre Zakrzewski and Alexandra Kushinova were killed and correspondent Benjamin Hall was seriously injured near the capital Kyiv on March 14. A day earlier, award-winning American filmmaker Brent Renaud was killed and his colleague Juan Arredondo was injured in Ukraine when their vehicle came under fire. And on March 1, a Russian strike on a TV tower in Kyiv killed Yevgeny Sakun, a Ukrainian camera operator for Live TV.
Journalists under international humanitarian law are civilians, and attacks on civilians are never acceptable, and targeted attacks on journalists in a conflict zone amount to a war crime.
Journalists on the ground are in need of equipment and other help, which is why Reporters Without Borders on March 12 opened a resource center in Lviv near the Polish border. UNESCO is supporting those efforts, providing safety equipment and training resources. Keeping journalists safe is also the focus of the ACUS Alliance. The coalition of news organizations is sharing resources and knowledge to help local media.
We are not an emergency response organization, as many of our ACUS signatories and members are. But of course, the scale of what's happening is so great that we're doing our best to support, not only our members, but also the journalists on the ground. And we've been supporting in many different ways.
Griffin says journalist deaths in Iraq and Syria should serve as a reminder for newsrooms to conduct proper risk assessments before sending reporters to Ukraine. Beyond dangers in Ukraine, Griffin says the International Press Institute is also documenting repression and censorship in Russia.
We have two actually different and important situations going on. One is obviously the war on the ground in Ukraine and what that means for Ukrainian and foreign journalists covering the conflict. And on the other side, we have this immense wave of repression in Russia itself, targeting independent media.
For those on the ground, the support could go a long way. Sirwan Kejo, VOA News, Washington.